Well, thank you so much for being here. Safeguard Sessions, just as a refresher for everyone that's joining us, is part of our effort to bring high quality conversations like those that we're going to have live at Safeguard's inaugural AI Deep Dive Retreat next May for our audience in advance of that retreat. So while you're a Safeguard practitioner, we're thrilled to have you here. You're currently at TikTok. You're the head of payments risk at TikTok. Would love for you to introduce yourself and a little bit about your background to all the audience members that are here.
Sure. Mitchell, again, thank you for having me today. Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. My name is Hua Li. I'm working for TikTok right now as a head of payment risk for US. And previously, I also worked for Liquido, Didi, which is a writing company, and also PayPal as a risk management. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks. We're super excited to talk to you about how AI is transforming payments risk. And so I think where I'd like to start is grounding our audience in the type of scale that you're working at and the complexity and the pace of risk. And so I guess my first question for you is when you're responsible for billions of transactions moving through a creator commerce platform, and it's billions of dollars moving through that platform, what does speed look like for you?
The industry used to use a QPS, which is a queries per second, to measure the throughput of a system. But in that measure, our risk decision engine can handle like hundreds to thousands of QPS, depending on the different events. But the speed is not the key nowadays because on the cloud, you can easily add machines to extend your QPS quickly. But more about the decision quality right now. So, for example, recently we fixed a bug where a transaction should go to the pending review queue, but got approved automatically, which caused multiple thousand losses over a month. So every second, we make thousands of decisions automatically. That's how to make sure those decisions, as in high quality, as expected, is the key right now, in my point of view. Yeah.
Got it. So it's focused on quality there. And so, how are you staying ahead though when fraud is evolving weekly, product is shipping weekly, payments are evolving weekly? I mean, how do you keep pace and evolve alongside those?
And do not sleep. That's really, really hard, you know. So it's getting harder, given the explosion of the information, right? So everyone only have 24 hours. So it's, for example, I think about 13 years ago, when the deep learning is booming, and I learned the conventional neural network and also the recurrent neural network uh, algorithm by myself and build the models and train on my own homebrewed rig. Sorry, 5 years ago, like our businesses started to build the Bitcoin trading on wallet. I spent a couple months to read through all the blockchain design doc and it's mining algorithms, those things. And this time, I mean, the AI, like the large language model, right? So the core, which is transformer, there's only 15 pages paper. I spent a couple of weekends and still not able to fully understand the magic behind that. So on the one hand, we should like always keep our curiosity about the like new algorithm, product, and also the new business model sometimes. But on the other hand, we have to admit we can't know everything as a single person. So we have to prioritize things. And that's the reason for us, we think how we also reflect that in our organization structure as well. We give up the hierarchy tree. So we have to structure the team in a like interconnected net graph, like a soccer team. So not only the only one can score, so everyone can score literally. And then we encourage the bottom decision making. We really value the high quality decision making in the team.
So you'd say you have a pretty flat structure on the team when it
It
comes
is.
to
It
coming up
is.
with an idea?
Not only my team in the whole TikTok, we value the very flat and we especially we encourage the young generation and also the new thoughts to think about the essential things.
Gotcha. You talked a little bit about prioritizing. I mean, how do you know to prioritize when a new risk pattern is emerging? Like, how do you identify that? How do you know that should be a priority? What do you guys do to think about?
Yeah, that actually, as a risk manager, right, we care about like those tag those things. I think it depends on the product and scenarios. Take the car payment risk, for example, the surge of a chargeback or early for warning still will be the strong signal. We have to of course, capture, but it has a certain delay, right? So everyone understand that. And the risk decline rate changing either up or down is also a very strong signal. But it's all instant, but it's also have a lot of noise. So you have to navigate like it is really something happen or like that. So and each single signal, I think have a pros and cons. We better build a multi-dimensional sensor array, like registration number from the beginning and transaction happening, like uh, OTP you triggered, and CPOs like downstream the customer complaints those things, and then by the location, the issue banks, by the device type, etc. Like so, you and then uh, on the other hand, right, when divide those, like normal distribution is still our best friend. We uh, like usually deflect those abnormal things like compared to like usually it should be. And then we have to trade off between the precision and coverage and the resource we have. And that's one of the scenario we think we can leverage AI to help the investigation lift the precision and coverage based on the structure and non-structured signals. But we are still exploring it. We'll update you guys once we make progress.
Gotcha. I think, you know, a lot of our practitioners often deal with a scenario where they come under attack, right? Like the house is on fire, they're bleeding, and they're trying to triage that. I mean, what's your mindset, or how do you think about what your priority is when you're bleeding or the house is on?
Yeah, sometimes it's okay to have the loss. You can't avoid, right? So, but important things is that to act fast and build the capability in the long run. So every attack make us more stronger, actually. And in the bleeding scenarios, for example, I will prioritize overkill other than the precision, because like you have to act fast, otherwise like it will be yeah, consequent. It's really depends on scenario. You can't always like make 100% accurate decision. So it depends on scenarios.
Got it. So it sounds like if you're bleeding, you guys are okay using a really big band-aid or a tourniquet and just trying to stop the bleeding,
Yes.
and then worrying about, do you need a big band-aid or a small band-aid later?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's chat a little bit about that and how you think about building risk systems and around how you think about the different layers and the design choices. I mean, what does an AI driven risk decision engine do differently from maybe an old rules based system?
Yeah, it's still evolving. As of current point, I would like break down into three layers. First is about like AI can help the operational works in the risk business. So, for example, the case investigation, like fraud review and chargeback dispute. I think some people may already do that, etc. And working like agent or BPOs you have. And the second layer is like AI can help develop rules, when risk rules and recommend the rules and also the cutoff threshold, those things. Like a cursor in the coding area. So everyone likes the cursor. And the third layer is like maybe the trophy is like AI can make the decision automatically or like a fully automation.
Got it. Well, let me ask you a very actually a pointed question. So you mentioned three layers. You're talking about the operational work of maybe investigations, fraud review, and then you mentioned how then maybe AI can be a co-pilot for designing the rules and thresholds. And then lastly, you mentioned you called it a trophy. AI makes the decision without you having to do anything.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, just directly, where is TikTok in those layers? Are you piloting in layers one, two, or three? You know, where are you piloting and where are you kind of live already with AI?
Yeah, in TikTok, we already pilot the layer one and layer two. Actually, we already have a product delivered in those scenarios. Not very like everywhere, but we already pilot and some product already launched. We are far away from the step three right now.
Yeah. So you're saying you're away from that sort of like AI making that decision for you. But then how do you think about where the human in the loop is valuable versus full automation, right? Because for some people out there, it's a design choice. So like we're probably never going to get to full automation. We want to have a human in the loop for some of these things that might be more intricate. So how do you think about human in the loop versus full automation?
Yeah, the current AI, in my opinion, is still in very early stage. It is good at doing specific tasks repeatedly. You conversation with it, it can respond pretty good. But it need humans to break down the complex tasks for it. We call use called like building the chain of thoughts. And for example, before AI can do the fraud investigation automatically, we use the AI to aggregate and summarize the case for the human agent to make the final decision. And another is about the ROI, I will call it, like for example, the current risk decision engine like TikTok, where we use tens of thousands of parameters and to make pretty fairly good decision with like about 90 100 90% plus precision under under 300 milliseconds. And the AI or large language model, they used to have billions of parameters, which is really good. But however, they need take several seconds in response time, and which is very expensive and the time consumption.
Okay. So that's really interesting. So you're saying you've gone from billions of parameters to just using tens of thousands because you're optimizing from several seconds of a delay to just maybe under 300 milliseconds, you said. Okay.
So we think about like if we really want to use AI to make the real time decision. In my opinion, at least as two cornerstone pillars have to be mature. One is that we should customize training the large language model for risk domains. Usually, the current information right now publicly is not like those cases not public. So we have to train in house. Say we may call that risk GPT or something like that. And the second is about coming to bring to production. I think we need to reach the cost and efficiency turning point. Right now, it's still very expensive make the decision use AI versus current decision engine stuff.
Got it. Well, speaking of cost and making decisions around AI, I mean, when you think about a new AI project within the risk space for payments risk, what's like your litmus test or what's the question you're asking to decide whether it's worth doing?
Yeah, there's a quote I learned from the head of product in Didi. Very simple formula is like your new product experience should exceed your old product experience plus the switch cost. So there is three elements you have to combine together. So I won't expand too much, but this is a very magic formula. I always keep thinking when we decide to go this one or this one. Yeah.
Got it. That's super helpful. I want to turn our attention a little bit to the constant struggle that a lot of fraud and identity leaders and risk leaders face, which is growth at all costs versus, protecting the business. And so you operate at such an immense scale. How do you protect users without slowing down business momentum?
That there's like a lot of story happening. So for us, I like a quote which I learned from my mentor with information security grandmaster. So he said like business first, and the risk is perceivable and manageable. So this quote original in Chinese. I'm not sure this understandable for you guys for the translation.
Got it. And then when you think about the tension between growth and risk teams, let's be a little more specific because I think the business tension, it's always hard. You're probably looking at OKRs and all that stuff. But when you think about teams, like specific teams, you've got a growth team that might also be responsible for product, and you've got the risk team. Tell me a little bit more about how those teams interact at TikTok.
Yeah. Last year when I joined TikTok, the business had a very ambitious growth goal. So and of course, like at that time you are vulnerable. So they lower the onboarding bars for sellers, buyers, and then the fraud attack happened and scale up. So this is and then which is not caused by not only caused the loss increasing, but also caused impact the approval rate as well. And everyone is freaking out. So many teams like they provide a lot of ideas like, oh hey, how we can find the fraud with good intention, right? So but that hurts the morale of the risk team badly. So because those ideas are either already in our decision system, we tried but not working. So people think it's a black box, so they think of product. But I believe this kind of a similar story is happened in many companies over and over again. At that time, have to step up to say, as a risk team, so we don't want to be told how to solve the problem because we are the one who doing that, right? And our team at the risk, we prefer to hear the what problem is, which is like, hey, let us know the false positive cases or the where the leakage is, and then we will jump in to solve it, tackle it like as a risk team, right? So on the other side, to the internal risk team, right? So I also keep talking to our team member, hey, we should be open to challenges. We should admit that right risk decision won't be perfect. There always room for improvement. So open to the challenges. So another improvement we are thinking is that we can integrate the risk policy, which is what we call like risk sign off in the product design or promotion campaign to keep the risk team lead time to develop and prepare in advance. So that's actually already happened in our organization right now.
Got it. So you're saying in the product building process, you're now adding stages for risk sign off. And would you say it's like a lot of checkpoints or it's like one big checkpoint and then they proceed? Because I'm sure many people who are on the practitioner side would love to have that sort of like checkpoint for the policy and risk sign off. And especially any of the compliance folks that are listening will tell you that when they come to compliance at the very end about what they're doing in product and compliance has bad news, they don't like hearing that. So are you talking about multiple checkpoints or are you talking about like one big checkpoint that happens?
Usually we call multiple. So the one who evaluate the risk policy should be very experienced. So he should know end to end. Sometimes we even request to adding the checkpoint in the middle, and then we will have like a separate doc to maintain and to over that.
Got it. Okay, well, speaking of risk checkpoints, when do you actually just deliberately accept more risk and trade off for user experience?
Yeah, that's a good question. Right? So how we decide as a risk, we always like have a lower risk, right? So how we really sacrifice that is that when I was thinking like a three kind of for example, three scenario. One is that like our risk leak is not scalable, so they still like try to attack an individual behavior. Those things we think is a kind of less concern. Second is that sometimes the product bug, right? So you can't avoid. So recently there are the accident in the OTP function or on one of the payment method. We have to like temporarily lower the kind of a risk trigger because yeah. So third, of course, you have to within the budget. So if your risk team can't keep the OKR, it will be a problem. So for example, Friday is coming, right? So many merchants, issuer banks will tighten their risk strategy, as I know, because of fraud pressures are surging in the shopping season. I think at Froster, they are prepared to do that. But however, we at TikTok, on the other hand, we optimize the strategy to focus on the user experience and help growth because we we prepare the leading time to minimize the fraud loss within budget in earlier, and then we also be like in a good position like to have a bandwidth to focus on the customer complaints, those things to fine tune our rules and strategies.
Gotcha. Okay, so your view on Black Friday is like let's prioritize the user experience and just focus on growth versus being too worried about the risk thresholds being too high. How do you make sure the conversations are constructive? Well, you talked a little bit about like all the different teams and the friction, but how do you make sure that like you, when you talk to product, you talk to compliance, that it's a constructive conversation that keeps everyone moving forward?
Yeah, I think as a risk expert or professionals, first you have to be professional, but you should also be open-minded and understand each other and less ego. There's a concept called the first team introduced by like a Patrick Lencioni. The concept is here like as a leader, all peers at the same level in the company or organization is your first team, and you should prioritize supporting your peers and the needs of the entire organization over the narrow interest of your own team, own individual team or department. So this is really a challenge. I try to encourage our team to keep that in mind, and then they will help build the healthy relationship with the cross team, like compliance, product, growth team, business. Now it's going pretty well, I think.
Got it. Well, in the last segment of this conversation, I want to turn our attention to something that's been an extremely hot buzzword recently. So, agentic commerce. We hear it everywhere we go. People are pivoting their products to talk about it. Everyone's defining it in their own way. What I'd love to hear is, how do you see agentic commerce, and in this case, autonomous agents making or verifying purchases? How do you see that changing risk?
Yeah, I saw the Google announce they call a new agent payments protocol. They called AP2 on September 16th, just a couple months ago. The wallet companies, PSP merchants, they are all participating. Literally, a lot of players in the ecosystem is stepping because everyone worry about like billing left behind. Some bold ones I may thinking like already kick off some steal mode startups on this. So it's very interesting idea. Adding additional role to the shopping flow, which is the AI agent. So they are acting on behalf of human to help you search for and to negotiate and complete the purchase. Self pretty self automatically. And in my opinion, this, by the way, in TikTok, we not seriously project doing to on my personal observation and thoughts, right? So in my opinion, it definitely will create new work for the risk professionals. For example, they already called KYA. So you know KYC, KYB, right? Things. Now we need to know the agent, know your agent, and the agent safeguard real should be on the cloud or local user, and those like kind of many questions you have to answer. They need us to help, and as well as the new challenges because the existing rules like system signal we may not working anymore. For example, the machine, the agent may act like bots. So how we take those things, because but I think overall it does. Don't worry, lose your job. I think the risk management will be more essential to this because think about that. You ask AI to help you spend money, so this need much more trust, maybe 10 times like from consumers compared to just you do that by yourself, right? So APIs and stuff. So I think security will be more essential to it for sure.
Got it. And I think this is a question that is really just asking about TikTok's official position. Is there an official position on agentic commerce from TikTok that you can speak to, or is there no position? I mean, what's the status with TikTok's view?
Yeah, so as I said, but one challenge we are facing actually caused in the AI age is that the fraudster they can make the synthetic ID more real. The synthetic ID, it's remind me the movie the Shawshank Redemption. Think about the guy sitting in the jail and he can create a real world identity. Later on, he get out and he use that like as a like. So it's kind of we already observe those kind of attack happening in our platform. So the username is not gibberish anymore. So they are really very real. And the address is real. You can search on the Google Map, and sometimes it can match the IP geolocation things. Those kind of mimic behavior on the platform is getting harder and harder to differentiate from a good user and also the fraudster. So in extreme case, they with also some interesting they can passing the challenges readiness verification. I believe they use this kind of synthetic ID to get the credit card from issuer bank or something like that. So we try to explore some like creative idea. Luckily, using some transformer models. Our modeling team is working on that. It's very exciting. But I can't share too much detail here because if we tell too much on public, the fraudster know that no will be vulnerable as well.
Yeah.
So I prefer to keep like in very small room.
Well, I appreciate you letting us push. I know sometimes we're kind of coming right up to the border of what you'd be allowed to say. Is it fair to say that synthetic identity is like either your top or top three concern, personally, where you're spending your time and energy?
Yeah. So I think at least you be a user. So you stay on the field, right? So you use it and firsthand experience. And the second, you have to talk to people, read articles, those things like correlate to the question. So and second, you have to can't be alone, right? So you have to talk to people to expand your visibility, information income. like read articles. One thing I want highlight is talk to the AI. So you guys will be amazing, like how AI actually sometimes better than provide better quality of the conversation than just like some friends as well. And the third, your own thoughts. If you lift your own cognition, that's actually the key. If you like just mimicking everyone else, right, everything will be the same. But sometimes your thoughts might be good on that. That diversity will contribute to the overall. Someone will forward going forward. Yeah.
Awesome. I think we have time for one more question, just given, I know, time constraints. Thank you for staying a little bit over. What are your thoughts on a combined fraud, risk, and compliance team? There's a lot of talk about like a FRAML approach, right? And a lot of fintechs who are trying to stay very lean will think about it as just like, we'll do FRAML all on one team. How do you think about that?
Yeah, I think these two teams, they share the fundamental capability very similar, right? To dig into data and build rule things to counterback. Like the Froster, they are like the intention is bad, and the compliance is more like we help make sure regulation is a happy thing. But nowadays, I think the compliance more challenging. Previously, they just needed a list, sanction list, those kind of rules, but now they are try to evade those things as well, right? So even so we internally have some very interesting project going on, like combine the risk and the compliance team, like fighting with the fin crime. We've got the fin crime things, and it's very very exciting. I would say they are the two team is caught more interaction nowadays. So don't be like afraid. Okay, I'm only doing that. Try to learn each other's capability, and also talk to your team in your organization. Get some project collaborate together, so you will find better like result.
I have one more question on that. Is that a team that's temporary just because you're testing out? Does the collaboration work, or is this now like a permanent team?
So we run this project for more than a year, and it's like at the beginning it's like virtual like things, right? And later on we talk about like adjust the organization to put in the risk right now, but maybe we will someday put on compliance. So there's things we always like project problem driven, and once getting the wrong run, some project you finish in 3 months, right? So then dismiss this. But some project you feel is really value for the company, and then you will keep it and make it a real organization. So this depends on scenario.
Thank you so much. We're so excited to host you in May at the inaugural Safeguard AI Deep Dive Retreat. If you're a practitioner that's listening to this call and you're thinking about joining us, go to www.safeguardevent.com, apply. If you're accepted into the program, you'll get a free ticket along with a $750 travel reimbursement to come join us. So if you've been thinking about coming to Safeguard, please apply. We look forward to a variety of folks across fintech, banking, crypto, payments, and platforms, places. Anybody working in fraud, identity, compliance, payments risk, we'd love to have you. Hua, thank you again for your time. Thank you to everybody that joined today, and we'll see you at the next Safeguard sessions.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you.
Bye bye.